And we are live. What is up? What is up, everyone? Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler here. I am also here with Nick Eden. Nick, you want to say hi?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Nick, 4554 Podcast. You guys know what it is.
That's right. So we are doing the Merch Talk show today on my Thrift Shop Hustler channel. We apologize for missing a couple of weeks. Has it been a couple of weeks or has it been 1 week?
It's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because there was people that were starting to like ask in the forums, like, where have you guys been? So I thought it'd be a good idea to do the show. And for those that don't know, Margaret, there she is. That her? Yes, she's here.
Hey, Margaret.
Hey, guys.
I was just going to explain the situation about the new situation with Merch Talk. Do you want to explain? Because I would have had my facts wrong.
The situation is, I had a drill in hand and looked at the clock and was like, I dropped the drill and ran outside.
So I'll explain what I think is happening, and then you can correct me. That's probably what's going to happen here. So everyone, this is Margaret. So what I thought was, like, you're moving, so it's been hard to juggle all these things together. So that's why the show has lapsed.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. So that's that. So I decided to take over the show today. That doesn't mean this is going to be an ongoing thing. We can rotate it out and everything, but I wanted to thank all you guys out there with the amazing support and been asking about the show. Last night and a week ago, it really reminded me that, like, this is an important show to a lot of people. And when the show lapses, there's a lot of people, like, as human beings, we're kind of traditional and we go by routine. So when, Merch Talk doesn't show up on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or Thursday, there's people that, but anyways, I wanted to do the show for you guys and all that stuff. Now, I totally screwed up. I don't have any of the links below. So if I do it next time, we'll get that all straight. But I'm glad to see Margaret and everything. Margaret, do you want to tell us real quick how you've been doing and how's everything going on your end?
Oh, it's okay. I mean, no, things are horrible, but whatever. I can't even find the screen now. Where is it? Okay, I can't find it. Anyway, yeah, no, we're moving and we just closed on the house and there's just been one problem after another. But chin up.
Yeah, so the house that I see you in now in your videos, is that your older house or is that your new house?
This is the new house. Hang on. I'm like, where is my screen? I can't even find where you are. I can't see you. Anyway, yeah, this is the new house. I was inside drilling stuff, and then this is the only quiet spot because my realtor's husband is in there working on the sink, and I was doing stuff.
That's funny. Stuff. Well, cool. Well, I wish you and your family the best and a speedy, like, kind of to get back to normal. I know when I moved last year, I still have nightmares to this day because we had to be out at a certain time. Yeah. And I had nightmares. I still have nightmares to this day of packing up and having to get out. It's actually weird. It gave me like post-traumatic syndrome or whatever it is. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, so.
That's me.
I was like, what is that? So anyways, I know how you're feeling. But anyways, I have a little, like, anecdotal thing here. I work till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I had to wake up this morning to take care of something. So when I went back to bed, I had a nightmare about this show, like trying to like I was late to the show. I couldn't get my microphone to work. I couldn't get my camera to work. And I was at your house, at your new house. And this is the strangest thing is we're trying to like hook up. Anyways, welcome to Merch Talk, everyone. Enough of the bullshit. Welcome to the show. Margaret has pieced out. She's invisible. She figured out how to become invisible, and she's there, but it just looks like the chair's there. So, Nick, right. Do you have any thing you want to report on for this week or anything?
You know what? Honestly, I'm honestly just getting back into the swing of things. The last couple of weeks, not only have we taken off from the Merch Talk show, I've also taken off from Merch in a Minute, 4554. Just, how unexpected personal things come up. So just had to step back from like everything for a second. So I'm really glad that we're doing the show today because this is the first chance to kind of get in the swing of things. So I've just been the last couple of days trying to do some research, get reacclimated to my regular pop socket loading special, schedule. So, and getting ready for Q4. That's pretty much the gist of everything.
Yeah, I hear you too. Like I've been so knee deep into the cryptocurrency scene and all the stuff I do with Steemit and DTube that, merch has fallen off the map for me completely. Pop sockets is the thing that rejuvenated my interest in merch by Amazon because I was having huge success with Etsy and Printful, so much so that I was just like I wasn't even uploading anything onto Amazon, which is sad because I have a 2000 account, which is still pretty good in the merch world. So I totally understand what you're feeling, but I'm glad that you're back too. I'm glad it feels like this whole I've been in merch for I think almost 2 years now, and it feels like we all go into the cycles. Did you ever get into a cycle where you're like hustling nonstop, and then there's a point where you're just like, ugh, this stuff?
Yeah. Well, see, since I left my full-time job back in April, I've just been in constant grind mode. And so where merch was kind of like that, I had the 9 to 5 and then merch was my 5 to 9. It honestly has gone a little bit further down in the totem pole in terms of priority because my wife and I also running a virtual call center. And so that's been taking up a truckload of time, just, hiring people for that and then getting all these different programs onboarded. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it was like I was talking with Young a few weeks ago, just over the phone. And I was like, dude, if I could just do merch and that be it, I'd be great. But it has to build to that point. But it is one of those things where you kind of, I don't want to say you get burned out on things, but it's one of those things where it's kind of like you have to cycle it, based on priority. Okay, but what's bringing in the most money, especially being fully self-employed now? What's bringing in the most money? Let me dig into concentration on that, and then I can pull merch back up at like midnight.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and one of my topics I wanted to talk about was full-time, but we'll get into that in a second. We want to thank American Yesteryear that is in the chat. Thank you for stopping by, and she says Yang has been sick too, so we want to wish Yang a speedy recovery. And Yang, if you're out there, you're welcome to join the show anytime you want. Just let us know. But yeah, you talk about full-time. I actually lost my job in June, and actually they gave me 60 days, so I'm still there. My last day is going to be at the end of July. We've talked about this before, so I was going to try to actually do merch full-time, YouTube full-time, all my cryptocurrency stuff full-time. And so before we get into that, and I already sidetracked the show, but we'll talk about the full-time because I actually want to pick your brain a little bit about this. And actually, you might be able to help me and other people who are doing this full-time. So let's get actually into the numbers. We should have probably did that in the beginning. Do you want to say your numbers for this month so far?
So far this month in July, fair warning, July is slow, but so far I'm at 35 for the month of July. Last 7 days have been 22, 2 returns. That's on merch. On my Teespring account, last 7 days, 1 shirt, but that shirt has an $11.81 profit, which is why I still love Teespring. And then Etsy, last 7 days, 1 order, and it was for this 24 bucks. It was 2 shirts. So it's slower than June. Like I didn't do any Father's Day stuff. I expected the drop off after Father's Day, just in general, and then the drop off after the 4th. But it's
Right.
a little slower than I expected. But you know what? I'm still grateful for every sale. Still thankful for it. So we just keep it trucking, keep it moving along.
Yeah, you know what? You brought up Printful, and I totally forgot to put my Printful numbers down, so I'm grabbing them real quick right now. So my numbers for today, and hold on one second. Let me get back into this screen over here. I've sold so on Merch by Amazon, I've sold 17 shirts so far this month. I sold 75 pop sockets, if you can believe it, over for this month, which to me is incredible. And my best seller is 21, and then my second best seller below that is 17. So I think I've figured out at least what people are buying, and I think I've cracked that nut, like what people are actually buying it compared to what I should stay away from. So I think everyone will figure that out eventually. Do you know, Nick, if there is people that are still not being able to sell pop sockets? I'm not sure about that.
It's a bunch, from my understanding. That first wave came through. I was on the second wave. I never get in on the first wave, But that second wave, which I was a part of, it dropped off like significantly just from in the groups and in the forums and everything. It seems like they kind of scaled back on it a lot after that second wave of people that were accepted. But I'll tell everybody this: if you have not been accepted for pop sockets yet, don't look at it like, oh my gosh, Amazon is, because I've seen in the groups where everybody's just kind of not had the most positive things to say about pop sockets. The reality is, even if they accepted everybody on Merch by Amazon for pop sockets, one, it's a bunch of people that said they're not doing them. And then on top of that, it's restricted. So it's not like FBA sellers can do it.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that's why I keep telling everybody, like, if you haven't been accepted for pop sockets yet, don't worry about it. This is their partnership with Pop Socket. You cannot sell pop sockets unless you are officially licensed or through the merch program. It's restricted on Amazon. You can't sell them. So you don't have to worry about a bunch of FBA sellers, a bunch of private label sellers coming in, at least for the time being. And just concentrate on when you're going to actually get in. And do your research now so that you have designs ready to go. I'm sorry, my idiot cousin decided to cut the grass today. So if you hear this weed whacker going on in the background, it's him. I've been trying to get him here for like 4 or 5 days. But yeah, just everybody, just kind of, it sounds cliche, but keep the faith on it, because it's all these niches are still open. They're still wide open. So,
I'm closing them up. That's all.
Yeah. So Margaret, do you want to, how are your sales this month so far?
They're okay. They're better than last month. And I want to just jump on his pop socket real fast. Not on his pop socket, but what I was talking about. Sorry.
March After Dark, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, like Joe has been uploading like crazy pop sockets, and he just sold his first one, and that's what, $2 or whatever, $2 or $3.
Yeah.
I know I've seen some in the groups, like people getting mad about that, but it's so minuscule, the amount of yeah. I, however, have sold more than Joe, so yay.
Do you want to say how many you sold, or do you know?
Yeah, I can go look real quick.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, have you sold less than 20 or more than 20?
I would say maybe around 20, like 15, 20, in that range.
Okay.
So not a ton, but maybe one, or at least one a day lately I've been selling,
Yeah, and like I was telling Nick before, that time I could hear it. Here, I'll mute you just for a second, man. So yeah, I was telling Nick before that I finally, just like the shirts, you find the niche that works. Yeah. And then everything clicks. So are you selling one-offs, or do you see that you're selling like multiples of one or two?
There's one that is sold multiples, but so I really need to get into that niche somewhere. But mostly it's just one-offs, and mostly it's like patterns. I mean, I'll give away my.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I did just as a ha ha ha. Just
right. I watched that video yesterday. That was an excellent video. And for those that don't know, go to Texas Gal's channel and check that video out when you can. I'm gonna put Nick back on here.
Yeah, and my sons have been. I mean, because I know there are other programs to make them, but they're really used to making stuff with Make Merch, and so they're having a lot of fun going on to Make Merch and creating pop sockets. So I've got a ton that they've, just getting on there making goofy, silly things and uploading them, whatever. Just
yeah. Totally. As a matter of fact, I actually had my first takedown yesterday, which is kind of weird. And maybe you guys, Margaret, you're definitely a veteran. I know Nick's been around too. I had a takedown notice. You know how you get those emails that say copyright or whatever? When I was one of the first waves that got into pop sockets. And like I think my first 10 or 12, I put pop socket in the title because I didn't realize that they default pop socket in their title. Did you guys notice that?
You can't put pop socket in your title?
No, because I got a takedown actually for one of my best-selling designs, and it's kind of weird because don't they automatically close that listing down when you get one of those?
I would think so.
I think so. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, so that's what I thought too. And here's the weird part is that I was still selling them today. So I don't know if it was a glitch in their system. Maybe they realized, well, pop socket is, you know, trademarked, but you know, I don't know. But anyways, I'm just going to let that ride until something happens. I'm just going to let you guys know, though, I did get a takedown for the word pop socket. This is the early ones before I realized that they put it in the title. And Jeff Davidson, folks,
Yay.
Aquaponics.
Just here for a little bit.
Just here for a little bit. He keeps looking younger and younger every time we see him.
My pants dry.
Jeff, how you doing, man?
All right. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Anything to report on? How's your pop socket sales?
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Where am I at? Oh, there's one right there. I got now 83 sales, I think, for the month.
Nice.
No, sorry, 96 sales.
Wow.
So nice.
I thought
this sold. And then my pop sockets, I've sold 55 now.
Oh wow, great. Hang on, gotta go.
Wait, so okay, no problem, Margaret. So you sold so you've sold 96 pop sockets, or you sold 50 something?
I've had 96 sales on merch this month. And 54 of them have been pop sockets. Oh, okay. 54 total pop sockets since beginning of pop sockets.
See, I didn't even look at that metric. So I'm still winning, by the way, at 75 for this month so far. I haven't even looked back to see how much I've sold. And the takedown notice actually was from one of my most popular design. And actually, I should ask you, Jeff, if you get a takedown notice, it's one for copyright infringement or whatever it is, the trademark 1.2 or whatever it is. Do they automatically close down your listing, or do they still leave it up?
They should.
So this is the weird part, is I'm still getting sales from that thing today.
I've had that happen before. And I would write them myself. I'd write them because I had one that was up there for a long time, still getting sales. And then they finally caught it. And so I got another rejection when they finally took it down. So I would probably write them and say, hey, you guys rejected this, but it's still there. So I don't want to get another rejection down the road or whatever. And I can't delete it. So please do something.
Yeah, because when I first started, I was putting pop sockets in the title because I didn't realize that, you know, they default them in the title anyways.
You know, that was in the email too.
No, I'm sure I didn't even read it.
The rules that, yeah, don't put pop socket in any form or manner in the title or in the brand. And you can put it in the description and the bullet points, but you have to spell it exactly, capital P, O-P, capital S, sockets, and then grip. You know, if you do it any deviation, they can take it down.
Yeah. So Nick and I were talking about how this, for me personally, this has rejuvenized my, you know, I guess my merch by Amazon stuff, because I was doing a lot of Printful and Etsy and a lot of other stuff, you know, other than merch by Amazon. Do you feel the same way? Did you get excited about these and all that stuff when they came out?
I don't know if I got excited, but I spent the next week doing nothing but pop sockets. You know, I just went down my list of T-shirts and started putting them up as pop sockets. And then I went through my graphics folder just to find simple graphics and patterns and put those up. I think I have like 170 or something now.
Yeah. I was doing like 10 a day or 20 a day for a while. I don't even know how many I have. I don't even have 100.
I have 171 right now.
Wow. So yeah, you figured out what works for you. I think that was what I was telling everyone, is once you start figuring out what works, is to kind of go down that path. Because at first I was just doing all kinds of different random patterns and sayings and you know, everything like that. And then you figure out what works for you. Do you think that's correct, Nick?
No. Well, yes, but not necessarily for me. I kind of went completely different from, I just literally last night started doing some of my old designs and putting them on the pop sockets. I had a completely different strategy because when I was doing my research, there were several, I don't know how to say it without giving it away, but there were several things that were wide open and I was able to scale them. So right from the gate, I went in there and I scaled a lot of those, which is why a lot of the socket sales, like as I'm looking now, I have 260 total pop sockets so far, and I've sold about 38.
Yeah, nice.
And most of those are repeat. Most of like I'm getting those 2 and 3 because they're. I have to tell you offline this. If it's one of those things, you guys know I usually don't mind sharing.
Yeah.
If I share this, it's going to get flooded.
Yeah.
And because right now there are literally in this particular niche, it's only 2 other sellers that are doing this for pop sockets, and I know one of them because I told him to do it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like I can't say it on merch talk.
And I want to reiterate what Nick was just saying. You know, earlier in the show, I was kind of being very secretive about what I'm doing because we're not trying to hide information from you guys. We've been in this business long enough that there's a lot of people that are like 10Xers that watch this show, and they're gonna literally take ideas and run with them and ruin the whole. This has happened thousands of times before.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to say keep information from you. We're trying to protect ourselves a little bit here because we've been in this business long enough to know that if Nick just said what his niche was, tomorrow there would be a dozen, 24 styles in that thing. Because that's the thing. And God, I hate to be so negative, but there's a lot of people that aren't artists. They're not creative. They just steal other people's ideas. That's their creativity, is they're creative in stealing people's ideas. So we want you guys to go figure out what works for you and go for it because it's more meaningful too. If you just go to the top trending pop sockets and just copy that, I mean, sure, you can make some money, but I don't know. Maybe it's a moral thing. Jeff, do you agree? What do you think?
Yeah.
The man of few words.
Now, I, as with everything else, I don't really research niches myself. I just go through things, and if I like it, I'm going to do it. And that's with the pop sockets. When they said go for me, which has been like 2 or 3 weeks now, I was in the second wave like Nick, and I was like Monday or something. I just started for the top of my list because I have a spreadsheet and it starts at the top bestseller on down. And I just started at the top and started going down and making pop sockets. And then I even went into some random ones. And the surprising thing is some of the lower ones that I don't know why I did them. I just did them. They sold as pop sockets, but they've never sold as a t-shirt yet. So you just never know. So my philosophy is I have 4,000 slots. I'm just going to load up. And you talk about scaling. The one thing you can scale, well, with the t-shirts, you know, they come in 5 different color t-shirts, each listing. Well, a pop socket doesn't do that. You can change, you have a say in there, and you can change the background 100 times to make it appeal to different people. Some people like blue, some pink, black, you know, so you can scale is unlimited that way. So
see, there you go, folks. We didn't hold back everything. Jeff just gave you probably a great nugget there. So I'll repeat that for those. You can change your backgrounds 1,000,000 times if you want. That's how you scale this. It's not like birthday of 1974 or birthday of 1975. Not that kind of scale. He's talking about background scales. You can take a picture of a lizard and put like flower backgrounds and then change it into sand backgrounds and all that kind of stuff. So that is actually a great tip, Jeff. Thank you very much. We're going to actually switch gears here on the show. And we're going to talk about for those that don't know, I'm going to be doing full-time stuff in August, and I kind of wanted to pick everyone's brain and kind of put you guys on the spot a little bit, and I apologize for that, and maybe I'll give you a couple seconds to think about this. We'll go with Nick first. Nick, what are some of your tips for someone like me? I've been into reselling forever. I mean, 30 plus years. I started selling garbage pail kids when I was 6 years old, you know, so I've been there and I've done that. What are some of the tips that you can give someone, not with like someone like experience like me, but I'm getting into doing this full time. What are some of your tips that you think that would be beneficial to me? That maybe something that you did that no one told you that you had to figure out the hard way.
I had to learn to split my income, if that makes any sense.
No,
so,
please elaborate.
Okay, so if you're thinking about going full time with just in general, take what you make at your job currently, add 30% to it for tax purposes, obviously, and then divide it into 10. So if I know that I need, right now I make $3 grand a month, let's just say. If I make $3,000 a month, then that means I need 10 things that make me $300 a month. That's how I look at it. And obviously I want it to be more. Now, I don't resell to the level of you or Jeff, but I do make enough. I make a few hundred a month, right? So I know, like for me, if I needed $400 to $4,500 a month, I know that $450 has to come from eBay. $450 has to come from merch. And I think once you can kind of scale it like that, then it makes those goals a little bit more attainable. Am I saying that you should do that? Let me split this list up and then next month I'm going full time? Absolutely not. Obviously, these are things that have been built over the course of, years at this point. So the things I do in terms of graphic design, I know that accounts for, like, okay, prime example. I used to sell radio for Clear Channel. And I had this sales sheet that they gave us that basically weighted all of your clients, how much money they were going to spend and how close you were to closing. I took that same spreadsheet and I use that now. Okay, I know that this has accounted for X amount of dollars this month. This is accounted for X amount of dollars this month. This is accounted. I have this coming in. This is guaranteed on this date. This is at the beginning stages, whatever. And it all calculates to my end total. And I look at that end total, and that's my end total for the month. And that's how I get to it. And I do that for a few reasons. When you're in some type of sales, you're going to have a lag. Everybody, for whatever reason, I don't know why people think that merch is going to consistently be the same amount of money every month. That doesn't work for everybody. Unfortunately, even and it's funny, Young was talking about this. Young's been saying forever, he's consistently made, about $3,000 a month with merch. And I think on his last income report that he sent out, he had made like $1,600. And this is somebody that's been consistent from the, almost from the beginning. So when you're in sales, retail, anything like that, you're going to have lags, which is why it's important to diversify that income as much as possible, because I would much rather lose out on, I lost 200 where I had budgeted for 400 this month on one of the 10 things, as opposed to $3,000 from one thing that tanks or whatever the case may be. So that would be I would split my income. I would add 30%, and then I would think of 10 things that I could do and can build over the next few months to bring in income and slowly replace that full-time income. So that would be my thing.
Dude, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Some of the things that I've thought about so far, which kind of talks about what you're saying, and dude, I would love to see that sales sheet thing at some point, dude, that you talked about. But yeah, but what I'm saying is, for me, I was thinking like, okay, I'm gonna take what I make to my 9 to 5, and then I divided it by 30 days, so that I can figure out I have to have this goal every single day with all my things, or else I'm failing. So at least, what you're saying is you have a pegged marker where you need to achieve every month. And that's kind of what, is good advice. And definitely the one nugget that I picked out of there, and I want to talk about again also, is diversifying what you're doing. And we've said this on the show a million times about diversification. Don't just do merch, try, different pods, Teespring, eBay, and all that kind of stuff. We're not telling you what to do, but we're saying from people that have been in this business for long enough that, like Nick said, you're going to have a month where merch isn't going to do anything for you, and you need to have something to fall back on. So I just wanted to repeat that again. Jeff, do you have any tips for someone like me who's I'm actually being forced into doing this full time? I mean, I can go find another job and everything, but I want to really try to do this and make this work. Do you have any tips?
I was going to say my tip is go get a job. No, the biggest thing I learned when I first quit my corporate job, I opened up a photo studio, and something I need to start doing again. I'm kind of doing it, but what is the best way to say it? Set money aside for taxes, because when you're self-employed, and I did this halfway through, you're not really living paycheck to paycheck, but when you first start, you're living with the daily money you get from PayPal or whatever, and it can get scary. And so let me go back to where I started. I set up a what was called then Orange IMG savings account, because it was paying 3 to 4% interest. And I would take out money every week from the money I made, 30%, 20%, whatever, and stick it up there. And I actually made it into an auto pay or an auto transfer of $100 or $150 a week. It would go up there. And that way you have money, because if you do quarterly, myself, I'm not a tax attorney or anything. I've never done quarterly. I've always paid the little penalty you get and the little interest. And to me, I was making more in interest in the savings account than what that penalty was. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of okay, but now it's probably not worth it. And I stopped doing that after a time because things were slowing down and I need money for food now instead of saving it for taxes later. And so when April 15th comes up, or if you're like me, you do an extension, and October 15th comes up and you have this big tax bill and you're pooping your pants. So it's good to have that money set aside in savings somewhere, earning a little bit of interest. Because right now I'm doing payment plans with the IRS for 3 years back, and that's not a good position to be in. And so I started it again, started putting $100 or $200 a month, I think. At least so I have some of it there, so it's not a big chunk. But that's the biggest thing, is just income taxes, because you forget about it being self-employed, and you not only have your income taxes that you would pay with a job, you have the self-employment taxes. All those taxes that your employer paid for you, you have to pay now.
You have to pay now.
What was that called? It was called self-employment tax?
Well, that's the catchphrase for it. It's actually like things like Medi-Cal, Medicare, and it's I can't remember the name of the tax. There's a tax that you pay half of it, and your employer pays the other half. So you are now responsible for the full thing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
of course I can't think of it.
So,
just because you said it.
Yeah, just be aware your taxes are going to be more now than if you were employed, because you're going to pay the stuff your employer used to pay.
Right.
And it can become a shock to you the first year.
Yeah, because I think that is one of the most scary things. And I'm glad you guys brought up the taxes, because that has been one of the most scariest things is, you have to really be on top of that. I know that, once you make over, I think you make over 20,000 in PayPal, they send you not a W-2. It's like, what is it? The K8 or whatever.
99K. Yeah,
the K. So there's that. But, being able to report the other stuff too, that's the hard part, right? They come after you for something that's been on the books, like the 1099K. So it's kind of hard I give it up for anyone. And luckily for me, I have a CPA that does the taxes every year. So I just my job is I have to gather up all the numbers for them and organize them. And then they take care of the rest, which is a good situation for me. So that's definitely got to look into taxes with that. Yeah, I'm going to be totally honest. I'm scared. I'm nervous and I'm scared. And there's a lot of people that would never admit to that when they do this full time. They think, and for me, I'm resting on the fact that I've been in this for a long time, and I know I know how to go to thrift shops, and I know how to do all this stuff to go find stuff. My problem is, is it really going to work? With having a family and paying for medical and paying for the taxes, I'm scared.
Is your wife working?
No, she's taking care of my father-in-law right now. He's got stage 4 cancer. It's another whole situation that's devastating for our family. So, yeah, it's tough. This is gonna be whether or not I'm really cut out for this or not. And I'm hoping I don't have to go to Plan B, which is because I've been in the movie and film industry for 12 plus years, so I could go still look for a job like doing that. But I want to at least try my hardest to make something of this, because I'm sick of being told what to do. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I want to be able to spend more time with my family. I want to be able to sleep a normal hours like freaking normal human beings. I want to try to at least do this. So I really appreciate you guys' information there. That's going to help. And like I said, I'm nervous as shit.
Learn 3 words. Welcome to Walmart.
I'd be the worst Walmart greeter.
Look, I'll be the first to tell anybody I'm the worst employee. I'm a great contractor, but I'm the worst employee to have. And you know, this last job that I was at, the casino I was working with, that was the first time I had clocked in since 2013. I've been self-employed the entire time except for that, and it largely to do with the fact that we moved from Atlanta down to Biloxi, Mississippi, and so where in Atlanta, if you need to just scare up some money really quickly, you can go. It's very easy to go and get like $4 or $5 grand, as opposed to here where it's like, not so much. But you know, I looked at it as a blessing because it was an opportunity for me to scale the e-commerce portion of the business. You know, you can get a little sidetracked with all of the gigs and stuff in a major city, but it is good. So I'll also say anybody that's looking to do this full time or looking to supplement your income, think about the gig economy. Like, trust me, I've done it all. Uber, the DoorDash and Postmates and all those other. I've done them all. I've done them all and realized the opportunity in them too, because a lot of my friends on YouTube that do them, they've also turned them and flipped them into content for their pages, and you know, you can make a lot of money off of those affiliate links with Uber. That's all I'll say on that.
I would also, back on the auto transfers for taxes, I would also, and again, this is something I did back when, and I stopped for a long time, is set up yourself an IRA account with like Vanguard. Mine's with Vanguard. When I left my corporate job, they had a what do you call it? Employer match program, and it was great. And then when you go self-employed, it's gone. So I transferred all that into a Vanguard IRA, which you can do as an individual. You don't have to have a company to do it or anything like that. And then there's set up a auto transfer of money every month, even if it's only 25 or 50 bucks. Especially you young people like Chris, that you have your whole future ahead of you, the compound interest. You got to think about the retirement. And I'm the old guy here, and I don't know how much time I have left, but I just started mine back up again last month, because you know, you need the cash flow to eat. I stopped that auto transfer, and that hurt. That was like 3-4 years that I wasn't transferring money. It could have been compounded for my retirement. So I highly recommend you do that, because when you're self-employed, you know, a lot of people don't think about their retirement.
No, you're absolutely right.
And they're young.
And Social Security is like going to be nothing pretty soon anyway. So it's like you can't fall back on that anymore. God, that brings up a sore subject to me. I think like a lot of our fathers and our grandfathers' generation totally just ruined everything for us. But you're right. We definitely have to be looking into retirement, and I will definitely be looking into that. We have Retro Aficionado Young in the house. He says his goal is to be his own boss. The problem is I live in the most expensive place in the world. Being your own boss is a scary journey. Once you get on your feet, once you get your feet wet, it'll be better. So thank you, man, for that. Also, American Yesteryear is talking about the Supreme Court ruling about, have you guys seen this, about sales tax for all the states?
Yeah. The only thing I can say is don't worry about it until something official comes from a state or from the federal. Just
right.
Yeah. I was just telling Knight, I think it's Knight Required Field, about like the very first year that they did the 1099K. Do you guys remember that? The very first year they did that, I was stuck with like $1,000 tax bill because I made a lot of money that year. And my wife and I literally cried because we're like, what are we going to do? And that's when I put my ass into gear. I learned so much that I could probably go and be a CPA from just learning. Because what I did is like, okay, I got this tax bill. I'm going to go find every single deduction I can take legally. Let me just put to you this. This is not financial advice. This is not tax advice, but there's so much stuff you can learn on the internet, and also go through a CPA or a lawyer or anything. But what I'm saying is there is so much information out there and so many legitimate deductions that you can legitimately be taking. So I totally did my research on that. And I think we brought it down to like, I think I owed like maybe like 2,500 or something like that from that 35,000 bill. So I mean, that was a hard lesson And I remember back in the 90s, man, you didn't have to report anything. I was under 18, you know what I mean? Like I was like selling Pokemon cards, and it was like cash in the mail, and like no one's gonna know, like, you know. And then the government's like, oh, this internet thing, man, we're losing billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars a year. So
yeah, don't sweat it until it's official. Learn it, research it. I know a lot of private label sellers that I talked to were going, you know, ape shit crazy with the tariffs and everything, and then it's like, oh wait, I'm selling watches, it doesn't apply to me. So just don't don't go ape shit about it until it's official. You know,
all the Supreme Court said is states can collect. They didn't say they have to. They didn't say you must pay now. They just said the states can collect. So don't sweat it until somebody comes, something official. I mean, yeah.
Now I got the word for you guys, retroactive. If they do instate this law at some point, do you think they could legally retroactive everything, or?
I don't think they would.
I don't think they will.
Yeah.
I think logistically that'll be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, and we already know that most states can't even balance their own budgets, let alone
right.
keep their ding dongs in their pants.
Right.
So yeah, dude, I definitely got it. All right, so let's change gears here a little bit. Nick brought up before the show talking about Q4 planning and things like that. Nick, do you want to kind of take it away about that, about what's going on with Q4?
Yeah. So with the new 180-day rule, guys, I know everybody is saying, oh, you know, go ahead and get your Christmas designs in now. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. I've been trying to study Amazon's algorithms as frequently as they change, and I just, you know, me doing Thanksgiving and Christmas designs, uploading them right now, it's not the best idea for me. I mean, do what you want, but I would say now is the time to start thinking about Q4. You know, at a certain point, even though I do not think that there's going to be a freeze this year, you do know at a certain point they are going to reduce how many uploads you can do per day. So don't wait until the last minute to decide, oh, I want to start uploading this. And I'm not saying max out your spots with crap, but I am saying that you really should think, okay, this is the strategy. Like for me, if they will ever tier my account up, if they will ever go ahead and tier my account up, I'll be at 2K. And, you know, I've already, you know, allotted every single one of those spots already. You know, I know that pop sockets are going to be the majority of that. They're the majority of the rest of my spots. Now I had a few fall off. So for me, just the biggest thing is knowing, okay, I'm not putting as much stock into holiday designs. We only have 3 big ones left. I'm putting all of my stock into evergreens, and that's across all products. My Q4 strategy is simple. By the time mid-October comes, unless I have some fall off, I plan on having everything completely maxed out, because at that point, what I need to work on is Etsy and Teespring. Merch, Etsy, and Teespring are my biggest 3 pods right now. And I know with Etsy and Teespring, we don't have the same type of restrictions that we have with merch. Obviously, with the dates with Printful, you know, you have to be a little bit more cognizant of that, which I was not last year. So that's one of my takeaways going into this Q4 season. But now is the time to start putting your strategy together. Absolutely, now is the time to start putting that strategy together.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I totally forgot about the freeze. I thought about forgot about the freeze last year too, and then it came up on us like real quick. Any Q4 strategies, Jeff, that you want to discuss or talk about?
Well, I'm not 100% positive there'll be a freeze this or a rollback or whatever. I'm hoping that was all infrastructure related and all that. I'm hoping they've built out enough. And they've had 3 years now. I think 3 Q4s now. I'm hoping they got their act together. I'm not betting on it. So yeah, I'm having that in the mindset. So it kind of happened like in November, I think, the first time they did it. And then last year, I think it was at the beginning of December, where they actually started scaling back uploads and then
and then
froze. So I'm gonna be like with you. I'm always that way. I'm just maxing out my uploads. I mean, I'm not gonna spend 12 hours a day doing it, but as far as merch right now, I'm basically doing keeping up with the removals, re-uploading them, and I'm still going back through my list of designs I have to put them all across all styles, you know, premium, long sleeve hoodies, because I have some I put up that have never sold, and I put them up across all the other whatever designs, and then they sell because that wasn't available back then. So I'm trying to get everything up on everything, and I'm loading up my Redbubble, my Teespring, even though it's dead to me, and then I sold some on TeePublic, so I'm going to start maxing out TeePublic too. So
that's good. Yeah. So well, the little nugget I took out of there was the removals. I'm bad at that. Like they come down and then I totally forget to re-upload them. I probably have like 200 or 300 designs that I need to go back. Cause you're right. A lot of these designs were stuff before, you know, sweatshirts and all that stuff. So it's good to, you know, at least fill out 4 spots with these removals. So that is a very, very good tip.
I mean, I see a lot of people in the threads that think once they've been removed for no sales, they're done. That's it. That's not the case. I've had some that I've reloaded back when it was 60 days, and it was the 3rd time re-uploading. It started selling, and now some of them are my best sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're not dead unless you look at it and you really think, oh, that's crap. Then yeah, make the judgment call. But almost everything I re-upload.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point that we don't know exactly what's going to happen in Q4. Will there be a freeze or will there be rollbacks? We don't know. And the thing that killed me last year, and this was last Q4, was that they ran out of black shirts, and all my designs were black shirt heavy. And as a matter of fact, I would say about 75% of my designs only had black shirt options. So I got royally screwed last year when I was doing very well, and I learned a hard lesson there. So
yeah, I do everything in well, the standard and premium, I do everything in 10 colors.
Makes sense.
So we got Ange M, PJ Harper in the chat. For those that don't haven't clicked the like button, if you're enjoying the show, click the like button. Follow if you haven't been following my channel. We just actually hit 5,000 subscribers. I will be doing a video about that at some point. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this full time coming in August, so there's going to be a lot more content and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I really want to thank everyone for that has come so far. We had actually a couple questions on Facebook. I'll get to that right now. Jacob Topping brought up the tariff on the textiles. I think Trump or something like that. I don't know anything about that, and I can imagine like tariffs will have some impact, but I don't know if we can monetize that at all, like soon. What do you guys think about that?
Well, since merch can't sell international right now, I don't think it has any effect. And when it does, I think it may affect Canada, but UK and Europe, they have a merch center over there, what I hear. And so they're going to, like Printful, it's going to be made over there. So it's not going to be affected by the tariffs. So I don't worry about it.
Nick, any thoughts?
He took the words out of my mouth. I mean, seriously, it's not. I don't see it.
Don't worry about things you don't need to worry about.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Because and it brings back to what Nick was saying earlier. If you diversify what you're doing in your business, you won't have to worry about stuff like that. I mean, sure, if it does come down, it's something to worry about and think about. But if you have multiple streams of income, that shouldn't affect your overall outlook on everything. We also had another Facebook question about, I think it's Teasley. Is that something like another POD someone's heard of?
Yeah. So Teasley is, and I don't use Teasley for a few reasons, but it's another POD. And if I'm not mistaken, they also do fulfillment, a la like a T-Launch. I'm not that hot on them. I have to be completely honest. I've really scaled back on how many different pods I'm selling on. And I know to Jacob topping, that's a no-no. But I think we have to get to the point, and you can have them on different pods. That's no problem. But I'd much rather scale it down to where I can do 4 or 5 pods really well than do 20 half-ass. And that's just, and half the time, like, I forget to even log into, like, I logged into, because I have a second Teespring account. I logged into that Teespring account the other day, and I had like $50, and I was like, oh crap, I hadn't logged into this thing for a year. And then it made me go back, like, oh, well, let me look at my spreadsheet. Oh, I actually have a Spreadshirt account. And it, you know, so I would rather do 4 or 5 pods really, really well. And at this point, for me, it has to be worth it from a profit margin. I was looking at my numbers from last year where I was selling less but made more, because that 719 to 538, it was something. So, but that's one of the reasons I know they're dead to Jeff. But I still absolutely love Teespring, because I can make $12 off of one shirt, and it's not breaking the bank for the customer. So for me, everything is a smaller amount of pods and the ones with the best profit margins.
Sounds good. Jeff, anything about Teasley? I don't know anything about this thing.
I haven't heard them all, but I'm with Nick that, you know, I was looking at so many and I've scaled back. Teespring, Redbubble. I'm considering TeePublic going bigger. And I also have some on Inktail because they interface with Printful. And I've actually made some sales there, so I'm probably going to scale that up a little bit. But I'm heavily weighted more to Teespring and Redbubble because, like he says, when I make a sale there, it's a higher profit. TeePublic will probably be my low totem pole because it's only $2 or $4 there. You know, they have a flat rate.
Yeah. And I want to give a shout out to Mango. Mango made a cameo earlier. I wanted to say hi to Mango earlier, but Mango is in the house. For those who don't know, Mango is Jeff's cat. That is pretty much like the 5th member here on the show, if you really think about it. And so, or the 6th member now. Geez. So yeah. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap the show up. We've pretty much said everything that here is on my notes. Definitely Pop Sockets is in. And just real quick, you know, I've ever since Pop Sockets have been a thing, I've noticed so many people with them on the street, like literally almost every single phone, especially the newer generation. So definitely go and do them if you can. Do some research on those and all that stuff. Nick, do you have any kind of any last words or anything you want to plug or anything like that?
You know what? Really quickly, how are you guys pricing your Pop Sockets?
I'm actually low. I'm at $13.95.
Yeah, I'm lower than standard price. I'll say that.
I'm $13.99. That's the only reason I asked.
Yeah, we've been down this road before, and it's funny because, and I don't mean to like toot my own horn or whatever, but and maybe I'm not even. This has nothing to do with me. But when I first started merch, I had my game plan of doing my shirts so low to tier up. And then everyone started to do that. It seemed like once I started to talk about that, they're like, oh, that's a great idea. But what I'm saying is, you know, that might be a thing down the road too, where like, oh, we're slashing our prices on Pop Sockets is going to screw something up down the road. So just do what works for you.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That was really it. Other than that, you know, maybe we'll see something on Prime Day this year. Maybe. Who knows?
Oh, what
I wouldn't put a lot of stock into it, but I had a bit of a rise last year. I hate
to interrupt. You brought up Prime Day. I've been seeing a lot about that. I kind of know a little bit about that. What could you explain what that is and how that affects merch?
It doesn't necessarily affect merch. Essentially, it's one of those days where for private label and FBA sellers, you know, you have all these lightning deals that everybody runs, and it's a lot of traffic. I think this year is going to be 36 hours for Prime Day, but the only way that it truly affects merch is that there are more shoppers on Amazon in that time. But to be honest, they are inundated with all the lightning deals that are popping up, you know, and all the sponsored ads. If you're running any type of ads, and I know there are some people who are still able to do AMS, not through Vendor Express, but if you're able to do it that way, you know, maybe with your promoted listings, but for the most part, it doesn't really affect us a lot. I saw a small uptick in sales last year for Prime Day. So here's the thing: if you get 3 more shirts sold than you regularly do, you did well on Prime Day. But you
know, Jeff, any thoughts on Prime Day? It seems like you have something to say.
No, I mostly agree with Nick. I didn't see any uptick, and I haven't in all my years of merch and FBA selling and merchant fulfilled. It's exactly like I said. Everyone's going there for the deals and specials, and since we can't really do them with merch, they're not going there for merch. And any boost you get will be incidental because they're there and they go, "Oh, cool T-shirt." They saw it somehow. But everyone always is up in arms saying, "Prime Day, get everything up there." And every year it's been a bust. And I say bust meaning there was no bump. I mean, but it didn't hurt either. So,
right. It's not. It sounds like to me it's like an Amazon Black Friday where everyone's looking for deals. No one wants to spend extra money for. They just want to get that good deal. So I hear you.
It's a Black Friday in July.
Right. Pretty much. Jeff, any last words or anything you want to plug?
No, I just say I've seen in threads people being angry about not getting pop sockets, saying no, the profits are too low. I'm not going to worry about it. Blah blah blah. If you're a higher tier and you have the slots, what is it going to hurt? I mean, especially if you're can't come up with new ideas, throw your T-shirt designs on there. All designs are selling. Text, graphics. Like I said, some that would never sold as T-shirts are selling as pop sockets. My best-selling T-shirts are doing great as top pop sockets. I just say I'm not going to poo-poo extra money. I don't care if it's $1.50.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like I'm the biggest merch loser here, and I've already sold 75 this month from just, you know, putting what I thought people would like, and it works. So I definitely agree with Jeff there. So what I'll do is I'll put Nick and Jeff's YouTube channels down below. I totally forgot to do that. This is the first time I've actually hosted Merch Talk, and I really appreciate everyone for stopping by. We'll see if we do it next week. It's open to you guys too if you guys want to ever host the Merch Talk show until Margaret, you know, if Margaret gets back on track and all that stuff. Definitely want to do that. Just let me know. So everyone who's been watching, thank you very much for the support. It means a lot to us, and we want to thank you guys for caring. You know, like this, I've taken the show for granted many times and realized that once it's gone, a lot of you have been reaching out wondering where the show is, and I really appreciate that. It keeps us going. So definitely click the like button, follow, and all that stuff, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.
See you guys next week.